And so I think I would identify exactly what you're doing. And I would literally say that it's quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Some bit of work put there. Exercise, is it exercise or practice? Practice. It's quite a hassle.
Research. My word, yeah.
You do your own writings, your own scripts?
Yes.
Or
Yes, I do my own pieces. I've been writing since, gosh, a very long time. But I ideally started documenting in 2013. So I've been in this space for around 10 years.
Ugh.
But I actually started poetry in 1998.
1998.
Yeah, back in primary school.
You know,
so
I did all that. I regret that perhaps I didn't take it a notch higher.
Yeah.
But every time there are people who are doing it, I'm always there to cheer them on and, you know, just to say that, you know what, you're doing a good thing.
You actually
and
are
every
the
time,
best.
you know, and I'm actually listening to you, so I'm asking myself, why am I not doing this?
Why
What would
are
it cost me to do this? Just do it, you know, even for your own kids at home, just do it
I
for
know,
family.
especially in the technology
You
right
know,
now, you know, this
just put it online.
You just put it online. Put yourself out there. You have the phone. Why not? Do readings, because some people even listen to poetry readings.
I know, Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou. I know there's no poets
I know.
who would not, especially a female poet,
I know.
who would not know Maya Angelou. And it gets you to that
know.
feel and that moment. And for a moment, I know most of the people probably did not get to see what played before you
Oh, yeah.
did a live
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
So what was that? Before we get to know you, what was that?
What was played is actually a video that I have released. I released it on Mother's Day. It's called African Woman. I think I might do it at the end.
Yes.
But basically, this poem was written in 2018 when I was doing my Gaining. I have an album. It's called Gaining Grip album.
Okay.
So that's where I did the piece. And the inspiration behind it was in 2016. My mom asked me how come I do not write things for her. I write for everybody else except the one fan that I've had for the longest time. And I remember asking her, are you sure about it? And she was like, yes, do something for your mother.
And so she's been your number one fan in terms of poetry, just looking at what it is that you do.
Literally, I think she saw the vision before I saw it. She thought I was going to be an author. You know, and I kept on saying, no, there's no way. But then here I am. I always thought I was going to be Mariah Carey.
Well, but you sing so well, interestingly. I realized that somewhere in between. And Christine here has a very beautiful voice. I keep telling her that. And I noticed when you pulled that sort of a song in the poem.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, that is it, you know? So I think you can almost tell that, well, this would have been a Mariah Carey. You can sing?
I know, I can.
You can
I have tried hiding for a bit now. I'm choosing to now just get out there. Because funny enough, the first recording I ever did was a music recording.
Wow.
Funny enough.
Okay.
But then moving on, I found myself more and more consistently doing poetry.
Okay.
But then I've ended up infusing poetry and music, so I like to call myself a Floyd. Infusing, Floyd.
Nice.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So back to Mom. So when she asked me about it, I ended up writing a piece. In 2016, we lost her, unfortunately.
Oh, poorly. Yeah.
The day
You had done the piece then? No.
Funniest thing is the day I actually, so she was at hospital in the bed, and the day I read the piece for her was the day she went.
Oh.
Yeah, that really hit hard. I remember telling her while I was doing it, I can't wait for her to wake up and then now get to see me on shows and I get to dedicate this on a performance segment, you know. Yeah. But so 2018 to this year, that's been 2016 to this year.
Right.
That's going to be 7 years. I call it completion.
Right.
You know, the cycle of writing and then now fully putting it out there for the world. It's been one of the most vulnerable projects I've had to do, because then I get to delve, it's given me an opportunity to delve deeper as a child who's been raised by a single parent and also celebrate my mom in the process. Okay. So this video has been, it's been a beginning, it's been a seed that has been planted towards the campaign that I'm doing right now. I like to coin it the lone child.
The lone child.
The
We'll
lone
get to that
child,
campaign
yeah.
shortly.
Yeah.
But now the video is like how many years old? It's like you just
I just
produced
released
it recently?
barely a month ago.
Barely a month ago.
Barely a month ago, and to be honest, before I even did that, I was also very panicky. I was like,
It's the first video?
No, I've had a
You've
couple
had a couple of videos
yeah.
before,
But
okay.
this one has had its own, it's just come with its own life, you know, like
Yeah.
for the first time I'm put in spaces where I have to be super vulnerable because it comes with a whole story, you know. But I am willing to like re-experience my childhood and just see who I am from within. I feel like that's the journey I'm on right now.
Production is quite an expensive affair, and my assumption is that that's like a typical music production affair. And so in your productions, what do you target? First of all, of course, to speak your arts out to the world and all that, but as well in terms of making money, because if it's going to be expensive to produce it, then perhaps you need to get something out of it.
So I am an artivist. I use art for social change. So my way of looking at my productions is geared towards doing projects at the grassroots level. So beyond the entertainment, for me, it's about what do I want to teach the community rather.
Hold it.
Yeah.
My bad. I should have started by looking at her profile. And she wears lots of caps, you know.
This
woman, even that activism thing, is it somewhere here in your profile?
Yeah.
You know, she is what? A performing artist?
I am a performing
An activist for that matter?
I am.
Social media strategist?
Yes.
She's a CEO.
Yeah.
Please, could you please speak about your product, Anika initiative?
Yeah.
You know, in the realm of education, she's done all this stuff.
Yeah.
Why would you wear all those caps, you know, and how do you just manage it?
You know, they say life comes with its own new doors. There are people who've been whose lives have been meant to go on a straight path.
Yeah.
I have learned that I'm not those people.
Okay.
I think God literally opens a door and closes that other one.
Before you know it, another one is
like
open.
another one is opened, you know, because it all started with I'm going to be a singer. Then I ended up being a poet, and then in the process I figured fused both. Then poetry happened, and then in the process was like, so there are no spaces for people to have conversations that are very sensitive. At that time, what was core in my heart was gender and development matters, domestic violence. And that's how actually Anika came into play. Where now we were 5 poets. The founder is Gladys Mwende, but then we are 3 other co-founders, me, Robin Omeka, and Desmond Ogubi. And when we started out, we just wanted to do forums that also that enables artists to actually speak towards challenges like mental health, I mentioned prior, domestic violence, the SDGs. And when we genuinely started, we were in muddy waters. We were clueless about how to build initiatives. Then over the years, we've learned the art of now running it as an organization, you know. We've been growing it as we've been building our own skill sets as we go as well. So now beyond just having the forums, we're actually doing cultural exchanges where we get artists from here, head to Rwanda, and do performance showcases geared towards social change. We're very specific on social change.
So beyond the money, beyond thinking of making a coin,
exactly,
it is the activism aspect of it.
Our satisfaction, rather, as an artist, my satisfaction is derived from what am I doing at the community level with the art that I have, you know.
Can you highlight some aspect of, you know, changes that
that I have foreseen?
Yeah.
For instance, when we started out Anika Initiative, we did our whole year's series on mental health, and we had artists actually talk about their mental health issues, and we were able to link them up to organizations that focus on counseling and all that, like mental 360. When I talk about youth and migration, which is focused on the refugees, we've had an opportunity to do the first poetry anthology in Kenya for refugees, and also had their voices being felt from the podcasts that we've done online called Try My Shoe series.
Okay.
And I feel like that has been a body of work that has informed some of the policies and the frameworks that could be looked into. And furthermore, it's also played a role in one of the ladies who came in as a panelist actually adapted it as a, what's it called? As a lecturing tool.
Oh.
Do you know?
Right.
Yeah, so every time she
when
talks
the lectures
about,
and talks about...
yeah, and then she gets to have the videos highlighted and the conversations. Which
aligned to what she's lecturing.
Exactly.
Okay.
In my own space, in 2015, I started working with Heart Kenya.
Yeah.
It's a human trafficking and prevention organization. That's the first time I heard about human trafficking. Fast forward to 2021 or 2022. One of my friends got trafficked. So beyond, beyond just being, before then I was just an advocate who talks about human trafficking, but then I garnered so much.
It came close home.
It came close home, and now I garnered skills on, okay, how do we go about preventive measures? Practically on the ground, how does that work? And it's so funny because coincidentally it aligned with what I do at Peace Tree Network as a human trafficking and prevention lead. Okay. You know, so I always feel like my life as an artist has been an avenue for ventures. For ventures. You know. And also for help for society. For supporting, for helping the society, and also just building myself as a person. One of the most key things for me is it's been a journey of healing. Even when I speak for, someone once asked me, why do you speak for people? Well, it's called...
And it's a cruel world. You
know.
Realize that sometimes, and I think I've got into a space where I've said this a lot of times, that humanity, we perhaps maybe have lost it. It's a cruel world that you really want to speak for these people who do not seem to appreciate what you're doing for them. It's a cruel world that sometimes you speak for them and they get solutions to the problems that they're facing, you know, they get remedies to their troubles, but before you know it, they're stabbing you right at the back, and you ask yourself, why do you speak for people? Allow me to take a short break, and then I'll come and ask you that question. Why do you speak for people, for crying out loud, that you could talk passionately about, you know, human trafficking, and that it would sink into the minds of many and they would understand, you know, as opposed to looking at what it is that you're doing as just poetry and activism for the sake of it?
For me, it does. For me, it does, because I've seen my life play into the themes I'm talking about, you know. For instance, when I started, when I was doing, I do a lot of human rights work. So for instance, democracy and governance. I feel like art has played a huge role in allowing people to have conversations that are tough to have.
Don't you think we're still limited? Tough to have, and I'm glad that you said, because you see, you want to get to a space where you will stand here, speak of what it is that you're speaking, and it makes sense to the people around you.
Exactly.
So the toughness comes in with the fact that sometimes you'll stand here and it will not make sense. And so sometimes you have to find groups that understand your language for you to speak to.
I think it's dependent. Because spoken word is flawless. You can work with it anywhere. You can infuse.
So you align to the environment, or you?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on what your brand stands for. Okay. Like for me, I'm very specific. My brand speaks for social change. There are other people whose brands speak for edutainment, for humor. So we actually have humor. I call them, how do I call them? Humorous poets, you know, and then we who are called the serious ones, because we talk about really tough stuff. But so it's really dependent. It's basically about how you're packaging yourself.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to our question. Why do you speak for people? Why? Why would you want to speak for people? I mean, don't you have, like you said, it's not been easy for you, so you have enough troubles for yourself. Why would you want to speak for people?
So, it's interesting we're having that conversation because the video also takes me back, again, like I mentioned, my childhood years.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I grew up with a single parent, and you know, most of the time when people talk about single parent, they see the single mom, they see the single dad, but when do they talk about the single child? You know, when statistics talk about the problems the single parenthood families are facing is poverty, is education, is whatnot, but is that really what the child is facing?
This child who has to explain to the fellow kids in school why their dad is not coming for the sports session, when they have having difficulties to explain what a nuclear family is because there's no dad therein and the question is not.
Exactly. When they have to deal with, they grow up and they realize they've been dealing with separation anxiety. You know, they don't understand why sometimes in relationships, when someone says, I will call you, and they don't call back, you are so angry. You know, but it's a childhood trauma. It's because there was a time in your life when mom always said, or dad always said, I will come and visit you, but they didn't. So it just rings differently, it just hits you when you're older, you know? The mental health breakdowns, the lack thereof of communicating, because when you're at home and our parents are doing the best they can, they're also dealing with their own traumas. And having conversations sometimes is a challenge with your children if you're a single parent, but then your kids also struggle at school to have conversations. So me, I had anger issues, you know? I faced a lot of bullying. You come back home, you don't know who to tell what's going on with you. Sometimes you feel like what's going on with you is not such an issue as compared to what your own parent is going through. So what do? You cry in your pillows at night. you still you relate, yeah?
I can, you relate, honestly.
Yeah. So for a long time, growing up, now that I'm older, I realized I penned down my first suicidal note in class 5. And it was because of the bullying. There was a lot of bullying going on, and I remember just crying and telling God, take me. I just want to go back to heaven. Just take me, get me out of this situation, you know. But then you look back and you realize, oh wow, that was actually a suicidal note. And for the first time, someone picked that note and took it to the class teacher, and the teacher came back and I don't know, the bullying stopped. And that was the beginning of recognizing that my voice actually deserves to be heard. And if it can be heard through poetry, then why not? You know?
I almost feels like we should close this interview, because now you're going to get us to moments of reflecting and feeling like we want to cry. We did not come to cry.
We did not come to cry.
We did not come to cry.
The end goal is to make you recognize those gaps that you have, so that you realize your scars are beautiful and you can flourish out of it all.
Guess what?
Yeah.
The comedy short tonight is 1,000 Cuts.
Wow.
And 1,000 Cuts is just a moment of laughter to help us cover all the cuts, forget about the difficult times, you know? And I think it's basically flowing.
Nice.
It is all flowing. So if we could get time, we could find ourselves there, you know, just to listen to laughter,
you know,
all that, a bit of poetry therein, and you know, we just appreciate life as it is. And I think I agree to what it is that you rightfully say. So you're doing all these things together, and it is fruitful, as you rightfully say.
I believe it is. My biggest win is when I walk off stage and someone tells me, I relate because of this, and that. And thank you for sharing my story.
Wow.
That's why I speak for people.
Do you want them to know your real name? Spontaneous is good enough.
Spontaneous is good enough.
So any performances for them to look forward to, like, you know what, Spontaneous will be performing,
Yes.
or this is where I'd find Spontaneous, so I can just sit down somewhere in a corner and listen to her speak to things that I can relate, speak on behalf. And I think I would understand why you speak for people, because there are very many of us who can't speak for ourselves. There are very many of us who would want to hear you speak, so that we know that now this can help me off.
Exactly.
The deep
Because
thing that I'm
someone
in.
spoke for me.
Yeah.
Someone spoke for me in that deepest moment when they picked my paper and took it to the teacher. Someone spoke for me. And when finally poetry opened doors where I could travel to different places, poetry spoke for me. So why not speak for
The people.
the masses? Yeah.
I think the question is answered. and I mean, after all, we are a whole big family, and we need to speak for each other. Because when you
Okay.
speak for them, they're going to do something else for you, something that you're not able to do. And
Exactly.
together, it's a beautiful, beautiful way. You know, I know they would want to send me away from this space because I would talk and talk and talk.
Funny, you asked me a few questions. You asked me what I am doing
Yes.
currently.
Yes.
So I have a couple of things lined up.
Right.
On the 8th of July, I am excited, guys, because the one and only Sita
Eighth.
Wanamwali
Yes, you should know Sitawa.
is direct. You know?
There's no way you do not know Sitawa.
I'm a supporting assistant directing a poetry concept show on the 8th of July called Give the Woman Her Flowers. We actually did an anthology book already. And then after that, I have a tour in Rwanda for the video screening that we had for the
Nice.
video album and conversations around the lone child. And then when I come back, then I'm doing the launch, which is
Of
now
the
the
Lone
Gaining
Child.
Grip album
Okay.
on August at K1.
Well,
But one thing,
K1?
yes,
Okay.
a K1 Clubhouse.
you know, let me tell you, our offices were somewhere around K1, so I almost told you, Apa tu kando. So then I just remembered that we moved spaces. Okay.
Yeah, but one major thing I'm looking forward to, because I'm also releasing another video in October. So October 1st, I'm doing my own concept show as well. So
So there's a lot coming
a
up,
whole calendar.
a lot to look forward to.
And if you're interested in mental health conversations, we are actually doing something with the Anika Initiative as of, please just check Anika Initiative pages.
Social media is key.
Yes, check Anika Initiative pages. We'll be having mental health conversations geared around refugees and host communities in different spaces at the outskirts of Nairobi. So check out for that. For all these other many things that I've said, just check
Social
out
medias.
on my social media platforms.
Which ones are they? Why do you assume that people do social media? Now,
I
spontaneous.
apologize. On YouTube, Spontaneous the Poet. On Facebook, on Instagram, Spontaneous the Poet. The only different one is Twitter, at Spontaneous Ray. Yes.
I am busy trying to see your YouTube page so I can subscribe
Please check.
and see how consistent are you in terms of posting stuff, spontaneous. Spontaneous what now?
Spontaneous the Poet.
Spontaneous. English is hard. The poet. Sometimes you find it difficult to spell some of this. The poet. Good. Here we go.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's follow. Let's support. Let's listen to all this. This is quite refreshing. I hope you get back to music someday, like serious music.
I am most definitely getting back to music. Now I'm ready.
Now you're ready, yeah?
I'm very ready.
Sawa. You know, there's no way you can't be ready because you speak for the people. So you should always be ready to face the world and all this. And I know there's so much that we would have spoken about.
I know.
But I am
what is time?
grateful. Once again, lone child. Something small about lone child.
Lone child.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's something small about it. Like now, yes, your whole story and all that, and it's as now a face that carries you.
A piece on it, or
You have a piece. What does the what is
what
a
does the lone child mean?
Yes.
So the lone child is basically, it's a coined word. It's basically a child who's been raised by a single parent. And what transforming the perspective of single parenthood through the
So
lone
all this
child.
while it speaks to that.
It speaks to that.
It speaks to that.
Yeah, that's my core focus right now with the video that I did on
That video we're going to
African
play,
woman.
perhaps
Yes.
that will be what it is that speaks volumes about now the lone child, and you know, to basically sum it up. But before we listen into it, or before we watch it, how about something small about the lone child again from you now that you're here?
Now that it's an a cappella version.
Yes.
Now that the
please.
video version has been done. Okay.
All right.
Mama way, 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 mama way. I am an African woman, born by two yet raised by one. I am that statistic that thrived from this equation. Because alone is how she has always walked. In these narrowed paths, with broadened thoughts, I see her lowering her pace and fastening her laces just to give us the very best. Because alone is how she has always walked when he drooled over his pants and swung that stool to her direction, but she picked that broom and swept the bad omen away and began living in pieces amidst their tiny, disentangled paths. See, it was not easy. Rain